Hello, my name is Jasmine Lisea, and this is my Research Status 3 presentation. My thesis is titled A DMAIC Approach to Improving Patient Wait Times in the Emergency Department. My thesis abstract is, hospitals are responsible for the large-scale task of caring for the health and well-being of the members of their local community. As hospitals are responsible for a variety of procedures for a large population, efficiency is crucial. This study describes the use of DMAIC principles to improve the patient processing time in the emergency department of hospitals in California. To complete this assessment, the analysis was conducted using a phased approach. First, a baseline ARENA by Rockwell group simulation was created to simulate the current processing of patients in the emergency department. This baseline was created based on a processing flow map. Second, DMAIC tools such as a fishbone diagram was used to determine how to improve patient processing time. Third, an ARENA by the Rockwell group simulation was created to assess the effectiveness of improving patient processing time. This will assess the final recommendation of this thesis on how to improve patient processing time. Here is an overview of my thesis. First, we have the original question of, we are assessing a DMAIC approach to improve emergency room waiting times. Then we have questions based off each phase of DMAIC, such as when they check in, what is defining the process of their check-in process, their patient prioritization process, and then analyze what factors increase patient processing time, what factors increase wait time. Do they impact one another? Do they compound on one another? And then last section, it talks about how can patient processing time improve? So that's when we apply those identified improvements and see if the wait time improves significantly. And then here you'll see the methodologies used. So we use different factors such as a fishbone diagram and ARENA, and then the associated sources that I identified during my literature review. So here you'll see a high-level process flow map of how an emergency room functions. So our input for this is sick patients. So intuitively, we know that emergency rooms have sick patients enter the hospital. And then we have the emergency room process itself, which is dictated below. And it's the patient checks in, they have an initial evaluation, they have testing and diagnosis procedures, they get their treatment, and then the output of our emergency room is the treated patients. So input sick, we have our emergency room process, and output treated healthy patients. Here's a fishbone diagram of why there could be long wait times in the ED. So you can see that we broke them out by the 6 M's: man, method, material, mother nature, machine, and measurement. And we identified different factors that could increase wait time in the emergency room based off each factor. So we'll see too many patients, the discharge process, lack of available beds, computer system inadequate, natural disasters. So those are all just examples of things found in literature that could impact long wait times. For example, overcrowding in the emergency department is a factor as cited in many literature sources, found that happens across the world. So many hospitals experience that. So if your input is too high, then how do you manage that wait time? This is a screenshot of my ARENA simulation for the emergency room. So I simulated the check-in process by showing that 3 different groups of incoming patients. So we have minor, moderate, and severe, and that kind of dictates the probability of them needing an emergency bed right away, which is dictated by the red square. So they each have their individual probability nodes of whether they immediately go to emergency bed and then get discharged. So that's dictated by that blue square. And then if they don't need an emergency room bed, then they go through the remaining process where they have an initial exam, and then they have testing, and then we simulated the 4 most likely processes that can be simulated in an emergency department, and then from there, discharge. And here is an outline of my schedule. So I have thus far addressed many revisions of chapter 1 and 2. I've been updating consistently for like the past month and a half, 2 months. And then now I submitted chapter 3 and an updated chapter 1 and 2 per my committee members' feedback. And after that, I'll send out chapter 4 and 5, send for committee approval and final feedback, and defend my thesis. And that's kind of sent out here in these bullet points. So address major feedback for chapter 1 and 2, send out chapter 3, send out chapter 4 and 5 is my next pending item. Thank you very much for listening to my research status. I appreciate your time. Thank you.